Another, like when I see up on the side, please.
Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's some serious. Where my girls at? We link up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going out tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going out tonight. Yeah, right. It's going out tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going out tonight. Yeah, right.
Wednesday. Hi, everybody. That's my son helping me. Happy Wednesday. It's hump day. And the force of friendship, we are here to help you get over the hump. How you doing, girlfriends? How you doing out there? To my co-host, Chris Ellis. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Hey, Bree. Happy St. Patty's Day. Hi, everybody. It's Wednesday, Winning Wednesday. All we do is win, 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 no matter what. It's so good to be back with you guys on Wednesday. I'm excited about our topic on today. I absolutely almost put on a different hoodie and it said Jesus, because this topic, we're going to need a lot of Jesus for this topic. So I'm going to throw it over to, I think I'm throwing it to Katrina. Hey, Katrina, how's it going in California?
Oh, we're doing good today. This is a good day. Today's a good day. We are hoping we get this together, y'all. We're going to be perfect with our audio. We have a little bit of feedback now, but it is going really good today. I'm getting ready for my second shot, and I'm excited. This is a heavy topic, but it's so needed. So Gloria, y'all are looking good representing in the green. I got green on, it's just not on my top.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Michael?
Oh, righty.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you, Chris.
It's Chrisette. You
Can
can't
you hear me, Michael? Katrina.
Difficulties worked out. Spare with us one moment. We're going to get you back to the ladies in 1 second here.
Okay, Michael, is this better?
Welcome.
Let me hear you say something.
Okay.
Everybody's coming through clear.
This is Sabrina.
Is this better?
Okay.
Yeah, that's how.
Hi,
Okay,
this is
can you
Sabrina. Hi, this is Sabrina. 9:10 a.m. Okay.
This is Katrina. Can you hear me, Michael? Yay!
Yay, we got us all. 1, 2, 3, 4. Crazy, messy, sassy, bossy. We got everybody up in the camp. We got everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day, you guys. We're so excited today. It goes deep, it goes light, it goes fun, it goes hard. We're so excited to be with you guys today. This is a day where we're taking the time to acknowledge the Irish. And I'm excited when we take the moment to acknowledge each of us in our differences and the things that we celebrate that I have that are alike. And it's a really important thing that we're doing. So I'm excited to be here with my girlfriends. We're ready for a conversation with you guys. I'm throwing it back to Sabrina as we cover the North, East, South, and West.
All right. You know, I tell you, I grew up in Oklahoma, and St. Patrick's Day was not that big a deal. We didn't have a big Irish community. And then I moved to Boston for graduate school. And when I tell you St. Patrick's Day was like Christmas in Boston. And so it's just a huge celebration. And so as we delve into our topic for today, it's not an easy topic, but it must be talked about. Our hearts are heavy today in the wake of the targeted attacks of the Asian women, the 8 Asian women who have been killed in Atlanta, following a steady increase of acts of racism against the Asian and Asian American community. 8 lives were taken, 6 Asian women, 2 Caucasian women. We don't know the cause at this point. He says that he has a sexual addiction. And, you know, they're going to delve into that. The investigation will go on. But last I checked, you don't go around shooting up people, a targeted group of people. If you have an addiction, get some help, like therapy, go to rehab. but my goodness, my heart was just so heavy. And so today we find ourselves talking about racism. The force of friendship, we want to erase racism. We know that there's a lot of work to do, but this is where we are, you guys. This is where we are. I don't know where you've been, but let me tell you, it's all in the news. There's a talk show, CBS Daytime Emmy Award talk show called The Talk, featuring a panel of well-known entertainment personalities discussing current events, pop culture, family, celebrity, and trending topics of the day. Kind of like us. We're not celebrity, but we are talking about the talk. We got issues. We got issues. They got issues. It's a group of women. They talk about issues. Well, that's what we do. Well, that program has gone dark. I mean, really, you guys, when I tell you they have some issues, let me tell you, let me just give you a little background. I have to put my glasses on to give you the background. The production is in hiatus. It's been extended until March 23rd, a live show just taken off the air. Well, CBS investigates that something happened on the show last week after panelist Sharon Osbourne defended her pal, Piers Morgan, against accusations of racism. All right. Piers has been very outspoken when it comes to Meghan Markle. The conversation on the show last week grew tense and awkward as it turned to race. An emotional Osbourne declared that she was not racist, then told co-host Sheryl Underwood not to cry as they discussed Morgan's inflammatory comments about the former Meghan Markle after the Duchess of Sussex's recent interview with Oprah Winfrey. Y'all, this thing gets deeper and deeper and more intense. Osbourne also asked Underwood, who is Black, to educate her on what Morgan, who quit Morning Britain last week over the flap because they said that he was being racist. Well, to make a long story short, you guys, bottom line is it's a whole lot of talk. Sharon Osbourne has reportedly said other things in the past that has the world talking. They want to know, should she come back to the show? They're wondering, was she really racist? She's saying she was blindsided to have the conversation. She should have had more knowledge before approaching the subject. So this issue that we're talking about today is bigger than the talk show. We're talking about having difficult conversations with friends, calling your friend out when you need to, or calling them in. Calling out somebody, sometimes there's shame, attitude, confrontation. Calling out means making note of, making sure it doesn't happen again. Calling in means let's bring awareness, let's work this thing out. Martin Luther King Jr. quotes, racism, he once quoted, racism is a grown-up disease and people need to stop using their familiars to spread it. Sadly, mankind is tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. Martin Luther King believed that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word of the verdict. Well, my friends, as we delve into racism, the topic, it's not an easy topic to discuss, but the force of friendship, we want to make things better. We're going to confront the hard issues. After the summer of 2020, that summer we will never forget. And so, Chrisette, my co-host, what do you think? I'm going to bring all the girlfriends in on this conversation. Tell us where you are.
Wow, Sabrina, I mean, you set us up perfectly for this conversation. When I tell you, for those of you that have, Caucasian friends that you've, been kind of leery of, having these conversations, I am glad, a couple of things. First of all, I am glad that now so many people are having these kind of conversations. Before it was taboo, before you had to tiptoe around it. And you know what? Isn't it interesting, as a community, Black community, we find ourselves always in the position where we have to be very careful how we talk about it with our friends. We can't go hardcore. We have to make them feel comfortable, or we become the bad Black person person because we said something was racist. And so, they're real sensitive, and we just have to be very careful. And, I did get a chance to watch that segment on The Talk with Sharon Osbourne and Sheryl Underwood. And, just watching that exchange, I watched Sheryl Underwood. She made sure that her voice was very calming. It was very low. She didn't get very emotional. And I was just thinking to myself, she had, and this is just my opinion, she had to have a certain demeanor so she wouldn't come off as the angry Black woman having that conversation. And so I just think that now is the time that we have to speak up and speak out, because not all the time, part of this conversation is not all the time is it just they're outright racist. Sometimes the truth of the matter is they just don't know. But I think because our country is talking about it, and as you said, the summer of 2020 with George Floyd, so much was brought to the surface. I think if ever there was a time where we should have the conversation, we have to have those conversations. We can no longer, part of, why we feel the way we feel, we've held it in so long, and we know that's not good for none of us. And so I think there's a huge opportunity for education. A huge opportunity for education that we can have with people that don't look like us. And so that whole situation with Sheryl and Sharon Osbourne, I just think that it was out there for the world to see. Everybody has their opinions, and they are friends. And I hope that they're going to be able to work that out.
Yeah, they are friends. They are friends. And Sharon has apologized to Sheryl, but she said, as my last reporting that are reading, that she hadn't reached back out to her. And so she said she guessed she needs time. Friends, call us. Yes. We want to know what you think. Make sure you call in at 313-778-7600. We want to hear from you. Racism. How are you dealing with it? Do you have friends who you've had to have hard conversations with? Wow. Gloria, Mayfield Banks, what do you have?
You know what? I just sit here and I just rock back and forth. I get rocked back and forth while I listen to this show. You guys get me so excited. Listen to this. This is what I want to say. I want to say that, one of the difficult things with the word or the conversation about racism is when you tell somebody that they're racist, it's given a negative connotation, but the definition of racism is that you think your race or a race is superior to others. And so sometimes, like they get offended when she says, well, teach me. One of the things that Sheryl said was, she said, teach me, school me about this. And so what I want to say is, number one, you can't change what you're not willing to acknowledge. And so maybe you didn't choose to be racist. Maybe that wasn't, but you grew up in that environment. And so that's who you be in that environment, but you need to acknowledge it. And so those are some of the conversations that are difficult to have, because just because you say somebody's racist doesn't mean they got that way intentionally. It could be a whole lot of different ways that they're there, but they definitely can't help this movement move to a movement of celebrating everybody if you don't not acknowledge it. I love the way that Dr. King said that racism is an adult disease, because people are not born that way. However, you can go to certain parts of the United States of America. You're the only one walking through the airport, and the little children are looking at you sort of strange because they've never seen a Black person before. They've never seen an Asian person before. They've never seen it. Now, whose fault is that they live in a community where they've never seen that, but they grow up in that environment? So we have it coming to us all kind of ways. But the bottom line is that she called her out on it, and she got mad about it. And Piers Morgan got mad about it because he was called out on it in public. And bottom line is, they have issues. They really got issues. This show is for them, really. This show is for them, because I have issues with the fact that they have issues. That was racism.
Yes, Katrina, we'd love to hear from you.
You are looking at, among the four of us, you were looking at your white Black girlfriend. Because honestly, until I was 20, listen to this, y'all. I grew up in a community. I never had a Black teacher until college. I never saw a Black dentist, a Black doctor, a Black lawyer until I was in my 20s. I did not realize that I just have given white people a pass the whole time. And so much, I didn't realize how much of my culture was influenced, and it was just different. I didn't realize it. And so there was a time that we gave folks a pass, and when you know better, you do better. Gloria, you brought up the definition of racism. And this is what really gets me is people just don't understand that racism requires power. And so sometimes they'll flip the script and say, well, you're being racist if you are not in a position of institutionalized power. And some people will say, well, I'm actually poorer than you. There are a lot of people I know that might not have had the life experience I've had, but as a people, they still may have been have benefited from the institutionalized racism that exists. And so we are at a day today, 2020, where silence equals racism. It's just to not, you can't just, it's just, this is where we are today. Okay. That we can talk about the past as well. But today, if you do not take time to educate yourself, it is not Sheryl Underwood's responsibility to educate Sharon Osbourne. And the whole way she responded to her is textbook, directly from that book by Robin DiAngelo, White Fragility. The crying talked about in the book. The you need to educate me, the, trying to flip the script. That very thing has been happening to Black women by white women for years. And sometimes it's happened to us unconsciously. For me, so many times I didn't even realize it.
White Fragility. Chrisette, you turned us on to that book a year or so ago. It's amazing reading. I think it's required reading for all. Why don't you talk a little bit about that book before we go to break?
Okay. So, long story short, I was going on vacation with my sisters through the airport. I saw this book and it was called White Fragility. And it actually says, why is it so hard for white people to talk about racism? Thought it would be an interesting read on vacation. And I promise you, I could not put the book down. It just uncovered so much that I was not even aware of. And it talked about, every white person that can honestly say that they are not racist, the pure fact that you were born white. I don't care if your parents said, love everybody, you don't see color. And that's another misnomer when people say, oh, I see everybody the same. Listen, I can look on this on this live and I see all the hues. It's impossible for us not to see color and acknowledge color. But the book just really breaks down the systemic racism in economics, where you were born. And this is the thing, Katrina, you said a minute ago, you said that a lot of times when you're talking about racism with, white people, they'll bring up, I was raised in a ghetto too. My parents didn't have a whole lot, but the book breaks down and it says, yeah, that may be the case, but the pure fact that your skin is white, you can take a Black person in the ghetto, a white person that was raised in a ghetto, give them the same education. And you know what? Sometimes, more than likely, that white person can have less education and supersede the person of color that has more education. So she does a phenomenal job, Robin DiAngelo. She does a phenomenal job breaking down racism and in all the different areas and how we are born into it. And sometimes they don't even know it. And so I just love how it does. And then, the fact that Michael Eric Dyson wrote the foreword to it. I mean, he's my homeboy from Detroit, and his foreword is absolutely amazing. Before we throw it, let me just share with you one of the things that she talks about. She talks about all of the different things that sometimes white people will say when they're trying to prove to you that they're not racist. Like, my best friend is Black, or, I have biracial children. I mean, she lists 101 things that sometimes they say, but I remember growing up, and I was in high school, and my best friend, we went to the same high school. She had a friend, and we went to a mixed high school, Renaissance High School, and she was really good friends with this one white girl, and we became friends through her friendship. So long story short, we decided to hang out one day and had a wonderful day. Went, played tennis, went shopping, and she was on her way to bring me home. And she said, Chris said,
go to break,
if
Chris.
I had,
Chris. Oh, come on.
Okay, if I had, she said, if I had to be Black, I would want to be your color and not my friend's color. That was an eye opener.
All right, you're tuning into 910 a.m. Force the Friendship. We're talking about the tough issue today of racism. It's an issue. We'll be right back. Call in 313-786. 313-786-7600. Call in.
7,600. She giving people the wrong number. 778-7600. Y'all.
Hi, this is Sabrina.
We all could carry this show alone. Okay. I got so much to say on this.
Okay.
So much to say on this. I have the privilege of speaking we're on a commercial now for those of you who don't realize we're actually on the radio. And so there's commercials in my ear. And
Are you with us?
I actually had the opportunity to speak at a college class.
Okay.
About this issue and the whole book, White Fragility. And that's a whole other show. I want to do a show called A Black Girl Growing Up White, because that was my experience. And it was my only experience. So I didn't even realize it. It was like I was unconscious of the fact that I was growing up white, and that there's that subtle thing that happens that makes you feel like you're better than your counterpart. And you are the token exception. You're different. You are you, and people being willing to have racist conversations right around you, and you thinking that there's nothing wrong with it. That's what I meant by giving a pass. So I have many, many, many friends that are not African-American, that are not Black, and have deep, long, amazing relationships, as I'm sure many of us do. And I thank you for all that are watching. And I so appreciate those that have reached out and said, school me privately, help me understand. What do you see in me that can be changed? Help me grow. So yeah, I'm about to bring that up. Silence equals racism. In this day and age, you can't just be not a racist, you have to be anti-racist. I'm about to try to get that in if Sabrina let me get it in. So I get to talk to y'all on the break. We have another minute of a break. We want to hear your comments, your stories, your examples. How have you walked through this? How have you dealt with it? Has it been personal? Do we have any of our non-Black friends who want to give input and would be willing to give us a call in? Because I think one of the best things is when a white friend realizes, you know what? Wow, I didn't realize it, but I have benefited from the institutionalized system. I've benefited from it. I am where I am. I realize now that one of my white girlfriends who said, I realize now that I don't even have to think twice about my son walking out with a hoodie, or about him not coming home because he's driving, on the wrong side of town at night. Just there's inherent things that we have to deal with, and stress and trauma that automatically is a part of being a Black person in America in 2021, that our white counterparts of any socioeconomic level do not have to deal with. So it's not that, somebody said it like this, it's not that certain things are not real and that our white counterparts don't have challenges in those areas. It's just when you're Black and have the challenge, you just have to add racism on top of it. It's real in medicine. It's real in real estate. It's real in the credit world. It's real in the employment world. It's real in the education world. It just means that in addition to whatever hardship, real hardships that all people have dealt with during COVID, for example, now you add race on top of it, and it's a whole other thing.
Yes.
So we all went through COVID, and on top of that, we had to deal with Black Lives Matter. So
okay, excellent. Let's go.
We're coming back in. We're coming back in. We're coming back in. Those commercials feel long.
All right. All right, tribe, we are back. We are back. Not the sexiest topic, but a necessary topic. We said that we were going to be powerful, positive, but not Pollyanna. You never know what you're going to get with the force of friendship, but you better believe we're here to make a difference. We've got a caller on the phone. Will, are you with us? Hi, Will.
How you doing? This is the first time I've listened to your show. I happen to be in my car around this time.
Excellent.
I didn't know all this shit had jumped off on the talk.
Really? Yeah.
I don't really watch the talk that much.
Right. A lot of us didn't.
My thing is Meghan Markle said that there's racism going on in the royal palace, then it must be true because she's actually lived there.
Tell it, Will.
Tell it. Okay. She's actually lived there. So you can put up this facade all you want.
Right.
Like white folks and black folks haven't gotten along for years. Oh, you got some white folks that are cool people. Don't get me wrong.
Of course.
Not all white folks are bad. But the ones that follow that orange Cheeto that we just had in here last year, those are the ones that pump their chest up and want to come out here and want to act a fool amongst the black folks who want to try to take their face to black and start riots. And they can believe that we're the ones causing all the damage when it's actually them just not like us to do that.
Will, thank you. Yeah, I hear you, Will. We really appreciate you tuning in. We thank you for adding value to this conversation. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7, my brother. So on your drive time, check us out because we value what you have to say. You will add to the conversation. We understand racism is real, and our job is to do our best to erase racism. So that's what we're about. Thank you. Thank you, Will, for calling in. Thank you so much. We're going to get to our next caller. Thank you for calling in. All right, who do we have next? Who's on the line, please? Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
Jessica, how are you?
Good. How are y'all? I'm enjoying this show. It is a very necessary topic. And, I was, one part of the interview that was very disturbing was Sharon Osbourne saying, "Don't cry." And I just thought, for somebody to tell someone else what their emotions should be.
Right.
That's just a total disconnect.
Right. Absolutely.
How y'all thought about that?
Yeah. Who wants to take that? That's an excellent observation. And I did read that Sharon apologized for saying you shouldn't be the one crying. I can't say how you feel. So she did acknowledge that after the fact. But what gets me, you guys, is in these situations, it's always after the fact. We've got to think before. So Jessica, thank you so much. Let's go to the girlfriends. Thank you, Jessica, for calling in. Yes.
Hey, Jessica, she brought up a great point because sometimes we don't say anything because we're afraid how someone else is going to perceive our emotions. And so we don't say anything. And then someone's trying to control her emotions by telling her how to act. So Jessica, you brought up a really good point. And I think a lot of people, because when you go on social media, they replay that over and over and over again because she was telling her, one grown woman to another grown woman, how dare you start crying? I should be the one that's crying. And even though she apologized, but what she was thinking in her head was, I'm okay, you're not okay. And that's not fair. There's nothing right about that. And then I want to talk a little bit about what Will said at all. He said, not all white people are bad. That's absolutely true. Not all white people are bad. Not all black people are bad. Not all white people are right. Not all black people are right. That is what makes racism and this topic so important. It is important that those who steal shouldn't steal. Those who rape shouldn't rape. And those who do racism shouldn't do racism. And that's a really important topic, because sometimes when you bring up the topic, because we're talking about how to have a difficult conversation, sometimes when you bring up the topic with a person of another race, it's almost like you're accusing them and their whole family and everybody that they know that they're that issue. And that's not what we're saying. We're saying there are serious issues out here with some amazing people who have power and are using it incorrectly to keep racism alive. And it's hurting the masses. And I think that's just such an incredible piece that we continue to bring up over and over and over again. And you guys, isn't this amazing that we're sitting here this time and it is such a big part of our life? I just want to tell you this one story. Okay, so I was at a business meeting, and after the business meeting, I'm in the car with another person that's holding the business meeting. That's another woman, and she's holding the business meeting. She says, I just want you to know, I don't see you differently at all. And Chris brought that statement. I don't see the difference between black and white. I don't see it. And I said, you know what? You really should see the difference. Right. You really should see the difference, and you should acknowledge the difference. Guess what? She got mad at me. She said, no, I shouldn't. No, I shouldn't. I said, no, you really do. I want to be seen as who I am. And I want to be seen with the ethnic group that I came from. And I'm really proud of that. So seeing it and acknowledging it, meshing us together is not the right thing to do. I listen to different kind of music. I listen to things differently. I see things differently. I eat different food. You know what I'm saying? It's just so much. So I just want to tell all of our callers, and I really hope that you guys call in, because when you call in, you give a favor. And Jessica did it just so great when she said, I just want to make a statement, and I want to know what you guys think about that. You should call in at 313-778-7600, because we want to hear from you. But when I tell you, we all have to stand strong and kind. Strong and kind.
And it does take courage. It takes bravery to speak up. I was reading, because so many times for years, I know I'm better. I did not like confrontation. I did not want to bring up the hard conversations. Topics that were difficult, I stayed away from. But now at this stage and age, I believe that I have a voice and my voice matters. And so I just want to give some tips on having the hard conversation. Number one, decide to speak up. When, like Sheryl Underwood said she sat there and she started to let it go. But something deep inside of her soul said, you got to say something. It might not be powerful. Might be popular, but you got to speak up. So you have to decide to speak up. Number two, the time is now. You can't wait, procrastinate. If it is stirring in your soul, you have to know the time is now. Number three, now I've got to work on this, keep a calm, level head. Okay, because sometimes we get emotional about this kind of thing, and we're not always calm, but be calm. That is my girlfriend, Jessica, who calls in quite a bit. She's the calmest woman I know. She's an attorney, you guys. And when I tell you, she is always calm, no matter what. She has 2 little children. And I told her, I would be like, sit down, so. And she's like, have a seat, sweetie. I'm like, wow, Jessica, you always so calm. The next is be prepared for the conversation. Be prepared. Stay open-minded. This is good. Point to the behavior, not the character. Point to the behavior.
That's good.
Isn't that good? That's good.
Yeah. Exactly what Sheryl did. That's exactly what Sheryl kept doing calmly. She kept doing it calmly. She modeled all of this, Sabrina. I need to take that.
Said the key to understanding the other person, this is good, which Osbourne did not do, is identifying the other person's feelings. Identify the other person's feelings, acknowledge their feelings, build on the talk, acknowledge that pain is individual. Okay? You never know what someone is feeling. Use active listening. Active listening, we can all learn and grow from this lesson, you guys. Active listening, making sure you truly understand what the person is communicating. Sometimes we're listening, but we're not even trying to hear any of what they're trying to say. And so active listening is different than listening. Let's go to the phone lines. I think we have Michelle on the line. Michelle, are you with us? Hi. We would love to hear from you. Thank you for calling 9:10 a.m. the Superstation.
Yes, I would like to continue on what you just said with listening. I'm white, and I'd like everybody white just to shut up and listen. It's not a time to argue. It's not a time to argue. You need to listen. Thank you.
Michelle, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys, this is what it's going to take. This is what it's going to take. It's going to take each and every one of us to say, I'm wrong. I've been wrong. I haven't been a great listener. Every time I read the definition of racism, I put myself in check. And racism is prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on their belief, based on the belief that one's own race is superior in any form or fashion.
Sabrina,
go ahead. Yes,
a question. Do you think that part of the problem is, we know there's a difference between being able to sympathize with people and being able to empathize with people. Do you believe that part of the problem is white people never have to explain their whiteness, and we are always fighting to explain our blackness? And because sometimes when if you've been brought up in a privileged household, and this is even for Black people, if I was brought up very privileged, I may not be able to relate to someone who, they go to bed hungry, or they don't have sports in their school. I may not relate to that because I've always had it all my life. And so I think sometimes it appears that they're not willing to say, you know what, Black people really do have a point. I mean, when is the last time they have had to explain to anybody their whiteness other than protecting it, other than saying, no, we don't feel like that, we're not racist, as opposed to saying, you know what, if a lot of people of color are talking about the racism that they receive, then there has to be something to it. Do you just think that they don't understand it at that level? Do you think that plays a part?
I totally think that plays a part. I think it totally plays a part because when you see things out of different people's lenses, you can only see what you see. And I think that what we're faced with right now is that we're all causing everyone to educate themselves. Whether you want it or not, we are being called to educate. And I think that's what, when it stays on the surface, you're called to improve your ability to connect with people who you may not have grown up with or don't understand their things. I mean, just watching the news today and seeing so many different races being represented in so many different ways, it causes you, if you really do love, it causes you to pay attention. And if you've never had to pay attention, you don't even realize how important it is to pay attention. Like, I'm sitting here with my mouth open that Katrina never saw a Black lawyer, never saw a Black doctor, never saw those things. And Chris and I grew up in Detroit. That's like all we saw. It was like the opposite. So, and then one of the things I was going to say that I love what you said, Chris, because going from an HBCU at Howard in DC, and then my first job after going to Howard was going to Boston. And in the Boston area, that's a very low percentage of Black people live in Boston. And at Howard, a very low percentage of white people go to Howard, right? So I went from one racial culture to another racial culture and worked all the time to fit in everywhere. So it takes work, it takes effort, but your point is how we see things makes a difference in how we see things.
Chris, what you said is so true, because as a Black person in America, you do not have the option to not learn to operate in white culture. You don't have the option. Right. And that's why we know that you can't just see it as equal, because it's not equal. It's just, you have to be blind, which there was a period of my life that I was. And so as a white person, however, in any environment, in any socioeconomic level, you can choose to not, you could go your whole life and not be impacted by African-American culture. Just the term Black Lives Matter, the fact that I have many white friends that term alone bothers them. As we talk about this on St. Patrick's Day, where we celebrate Irish culture, it's the only, it boggles me how, and then when we mix in a whole other conversation about what has taken place in the church and how the evangelical white church has not been able to wrap their mind around this. And Jesus gives so many examples. It's just examples after examples. So it absolutely is a choice to educate. A choice to educate.
We've got callers. This is good conversation. You're listening to The Force of Friendship. And I will tell you, it's a rich conversation. It's a necessary conversation. I am Sabrina Goodwin-Mundy, your host today. And let's go to the phone lines. You're listening to 910, the Superstation. I think we have Mighty on the line. Mighty.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Hey, Mighty.
Hey, Mighty. I was want to talk about how you said that just because you're white makes you racist. And it kind of got me thinking. I do construction work and I drive an old truck and I'm kind of off looking and, smoke weed and all that good stuff. And when I have to do jobs up in those northern suburbs, I get all freaked out and I start stashing all my stuff and everything else. Well, just imagine, throwing a black face in the mix there. You kind of have to feel that way, each and every time you leave the city of Detroit. You kind of feel that little, pit in your stomach and, having to watch your back and making sure all your stuff is straight. And, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. You know what I'm saying? People just don't quite understand that kind of thing.
They don't quite understand that thing, Mighty. We really appreciate your phone call. Thank you for listening to We Got Issues with The Force of Friendship. When I tell you we got issues, this society has issues. We've been fighting this battle for a long time, but we are nowhere near tired. This is, when we think about what our ancestors have gone through, for us to even be able to have this conversation, right, we are willing to take it on. So, Mighty, thank you for calling. We're going to go to our next caller. Thank you, Mighty. We're going to go to Robin. Hi, Robin. How are you?
Hello, my beautiful lady. How you doing?
Wonderful.
Good. I know, dear, that this is your spouse. I'm not gonna never ever disrespect you. But we never ever done anything wrong to no white people, but to be beautiful and but to be beautiful as we are. We can't help because our skin don't crack. And we got big round booties. I don't know why they shut up, but not no white woman's gonna tell me to shut up and listen.
All right, okay? Robin.
Me to shut up and listen. She need to shut up and listen.
Well, Robin, we want everybody to be able to have a good conversation. We want to walk and work with dignity, respect. Yes, Robin.
Is that a good conversation, dear, for her to say shut up and listen? She could have used another word. What?
No.
I mean, listen, what?
No, I think she was saying that she wanted her community to shut up. That's the way I took that, right?
Right.
You're talking about the caller who called in. No, she didn't tell us to shut up and listen.
Right.
She was saying she is white and she wants her people, her race of people to shut up and listen. So we really appreciate, okay. Yeah, it was just a misunderstanding. It was a misunderstanding. We appreciate you. Yeah. Thank you for calling in. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. It is interesting. Yes, go ahead, Katrina.
I was going to say, seriously, if y'all want to see what I think are the most woke white folks in America, turn on TikTok. It blows my mind. I see so many white sisters that are on there and they are just educating, and it's amazing. I've learned so much about my own history and my own culture. It's a whole other world out there, and there's a lot of people that are taking time to
fair-minded, want the world to be a better place. Absolutely. And this is what we're striving for. Yes, for sure. We got another caller, you guys. Let's go to Janice. Janice, are you still with us? Thank you for calling in to 910 AM, the Superstation.
I wanted to go back to the topic of Sharon Osbourne and Meghan and Harry and the Oprah interview. And my biggest issue with that is, why on earth are Americans even concerned about it? When you think about it, while Black Americans were not considered human, let alone citizens of the United States, when the founding fathers, quote unquote, developed the Constitution and developed the United States, but we are U.S. citizens, Black people. So why are U.S. citizens even concerned about what's going on with the monarchy, in that our foreparents, if you will, even though they were the white founders of this country, left Great Britain to get out from under the tyranny of the monarchy. And it's just blowing my mind that oxygen is even being given by Americans to this with regards to Meghan, who in my view is a lunatic who has even married into that foolishness, because the monarchy throughout the globe is known for colonizing, oppressing, enslaving people of color around the world. So being that she's a biracial person, why would she marry into that, blissfully ignorant of all of this, which is blowing my mind that a 39-year-old woman would be ignorant of what the monarchy stands for globally. But why are we even concerned about it is my biggest issue, because the hypocrisy and inbreeding that's gone on with the monarchy, it is what it is, and it really is a family matter that those citizens of that country uphold. So just to sum it all up, wrap it all up, Edward VIII, who was in line for the throne, the British throne, in 1936, he abdicated his succession to the throne because he did what? Fell in love with and married an American woman who was divorced. So she had two strikes against her, and that's why the monarch didn't, want her. And so why would Meghan think that anything would be different? It's not just because she's Black, it's because she's an American, she was divorced, she was older than Harry, and their concern was, will she be able to bear children? So she has, but then also she's Black. Why?
A lot of strikes against her. Go ahead, Gloria.
You know what? When you were asked that question, the first thing I thought to myself was love. She fell in love with Harry. She just fell in love with him. And I don't think that any of us, when we fall in love, we really don't go through all that history stuff first. By the time you fall in love and you in a conversation, and you go deeper and deeper into the conversation and deeper in love, it's not until you lift your head up and look around. But by that time, you're in love. That's number one, I have to say. The number two thing I have to say is I think that we're super interested in what's going on over there, because those are our sisters and brothers over there. And sometimes we think about the fact that the world, especially these days, you guys, the world has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And so when I see somebody that is disrespected in Europe or disrespected in Brazil or disrespected in Canada, it's still a form of disrespect. And it's very hard for, I'll speak for myself. It's very hard for me to discount an entire country or an entire race based on the fact that even people in power, I mean, look at the United States. We got people in power that we completely disagree with. And then 4 years later is a whole nother group of and they're powerful. So I understand what you're saying in terms of the monarchy and the history, but when you bring it down to the level and what one of the reasons that we're having such a horrific conversation is because we divide people based on who they are versus the fact that we are in love with each other.
Right.
All right. We got to call it. Go ahead, Chris, and then we'll go to the phone.
Okay. And what I just want to add is that change doesn't happen in a vacuum. And that when you talk about real change, change happens sometimes very slow. I mean, sometimes it's very minuscule, but until somebody does something, sometimes in order for change to happen, things have to transpire on a bigger stage. And I just think that, to say we're in the US and that's London, I think a bigger conversation is, there are a ton of Black and brown people in London who march for us with Black Lives Matter. And so I think that this is a conversation that we need to be a part of, because we absolutely need to have change, even though we know, looking back in history, it's been very slow, but sooner or later it's going to happen.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for calling in, Janice. We're going to go to the phone lines. Big Joe, are you with us? Big Joe, are you there? Thank you for calling. Okay, no more Big Joe. What about Natalie? Are you still with us?
Hi,
good.
Natalie.
Good. I have three things, and I promise to be quick. One, someone asked about whether or not they felt that people, Caucasian individuals, could not talk about race because of a lack of empathy. And I think that if we look at people in general, we are reticent to change. Mm-hmm. And there are many stats being put out today in the news media, on Facebook, other social platforms. So if you are forced to look at what's going on, you are then forced to change. If you refuse to have the conversation, you can avoid that change. And so I think that's a big part of why they don't want to have the conversation. Mm-hmm. Another thing, Gloria, you mentioned love, and I'll say I agree with that 1,000%. I've had a few relationships that had I thought before I fell in love, I might not have followed so hard.
Right.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Katrina's waving her hand. Radio people can't see you. Raise your hand.
There's another book, and I don't have the author's name, but it's So You Want to Talk About Race. Mm. And if you look that up on Amazon, I mean, it is a really good book, very informative. But I want to thank you all. I follow you on Facebook. Thank you for everything you do to uplift so many women.
Natalie, thank you for your contribution to the show. Thank you.
Yes.
You make us better. Be with us Monday through Friday, 6 to 7. You guys set your alarms. This is like your break in the day. This is the break in the day with the girlfriends. We know that you're multitasking. Everybody's busy, but we ask that you just take a break in your day and chat with us. We are talking about issues. You got issues. We got issues. The world got issues, and we want to be problem solvers. So let's keep talking about it. Please call in. We've got a few more minutes. Call into the show. The number. I used to have it right here. What's the number, y'all? Tell me the number.
313
778 7600.
All right. Oh my goodness. We okay. Go ahead, Katrina. Then we got another caller. Yes.
Okay. I was just going to say that book, So You Want to Talk About Race, is an amazing book. Amend. If people have not watched Amend on Netflix, is that Netflix, Gloria? Definitely.
Yes, child. That's Netflix.
Gotta watch it. And I'm telling you, go to YouTube and download Dr. Anita Phillips' Body Language for all of your evangelical friends. It straight up talks about the church. It's so good. Dr. Anita Phillips is good. Back to you, Sabrina.
All right, Danielle, we'll take our last caller before we close. Hi, Danielle. Thank you for calling the Superstation, 9:10 a.m. with the Force of Friendship.
Hi, Danielle. Thank you for calling the Superstation, 9:10 a.m. with the Force of Friendship. 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 9:10 a.m. with the Force of Friendship.
Danielle?
Hi there. I love you for bringing this topic up. I just wanted to say that I think it's important to note that this isn't solely a black and white issue, although that is a common narrative. Racism, ignorance, prejudice can penetrate the mind of any person of any stature or any socioeconomic status, right? So within that same vein, our experiences shape who we are. Mm-hmm. So we aren't pigeonholed into acting a certain way or listening to a certain type of music or having a particular belief, et cetera, just because of our skin color or ethnicity. And that's across the board, right? Because generalizations are incredibly damaging. I think her name is Sabrina. She said she wasn't surrounded by black faces during her upbringing, and that's unique to her. And Gloria was surrounded by black faces in her youth, and that is unique to her. So we should all recognize, as people with a plethora of varying experiences, our ability to educate another person solely because we have a unique fingerprint on this world. So although we grow tired of explaining how it feels as black women, men, and non-binary individuals of color, we have this unique perspective that we have the ability to share. So why not share it?
That's fantastic. Wow. Thank you so much for that. That was powerful. A great way to end our show. We must educate others. We can't get tired by educating. We know we get tired of the conversation, but we cannot be tired. Last word, each girlfriend before we move on and I close out. Who wants to say something before we go? Yes.
I just want to say that I love the conversation about don't generalize. And it's not a black or white issue. It does go across. Racism hits people from people who are educated, not educated. We sit and we talk about this all the time about the judgment. So I love the fact that we can't generalize it. It's a big issue and we all got to bring it down. Katrina, Chris?
Yes, I just encourage all of us to check our implicit bias. Some people say the system is broken, and I love what someone said. The system is not broken. It's doing what it was designed to do. So we must change the system from the ground up in order to erase ism. Chris?
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. You know what? I'll just add that, and Gloria, you said something. If we go from a standpoint of love and a standpoint of education and, not, wear our feelings on our sleeve, but just do our best to educate. And I'll also say it's a two-way street for those of us that are in the Black community and we don't necessarily have a lot of white friends. I think it's incumbent upon us to do our best to reach out to that side and to educate those that don't know about all the issues that we as Black people go through. So I think that is so important, and also to make sure that our children are aware and that they are confident in who they are as Black children.
Absolutely. Well, girlfriends, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. And so I think that it's very important that we continue the conversation. We know that there's a lot of education to do, and we must do what we can do often and early. We are not tired. The conversation is necessary. We thank our tribe for having the conversation with us. We got issues, and we're going to continue to just fight the good fight. You are listening to 910 The Superstation. You can find us on iHeart Radio. You can find us on the app. You can find us every evening, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Join us. Tell a friend. We're going to grow this tribe. We're going to become better together. You're the best. Girlfriends, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Wow. OMG.
Thank you so much.
This week has been awesome.
Okay. Thank you for all of your help.
Good job.
Bye-bye.
That was excellent. Monday was brand. Yesterday was fine. Today,
and that means that I can no longer
invite anybody. You killed it, but you gave it life. I'm gonna say it that way. So good. Not to mention you look amazing.
I know that Victoria and Sabrina coordinated. Y'all coordinated. You got some green. I said, I know I got some green and white somewhere, but I still got stuff packed up everywhere, and I just on the change.
I know, for real. Did you turn off Comtrex?
Did you hit the Comrex, Sabrina? Did you hit the button on there?
iPad.
You got to click that the microphone and turn it on the speaker.
Can you hear us?
We're still live, and it was me, y'all.
I can't hear.
Oh, she can't hear us. Okay.
Oh,
you got to unmute yourself.
Unmute, right. Unmute your computer.
After the show, y'all. Y'all get to hear after the show. She can hear.
On the computer.
Call her, Chris. Call her. She can't remember how to turn. She has to unmute her computer.
I got her, Chris. You got her? Okay.
Unmute your computer. See, y'all, we have to keep the.
For some unknown reason, I can't get the volume. I'm trying everything that I normally do to unmute it.
I can hear you. And we can hear you, Sabrina.
I'm going to mute her till she figures it out.
Everything that I normally do to unmute.
It's not
muted your mic. It says the.
I muted her and Gloria. So okay. Y'all, Regina said, y'all help Sabrina. Help Sabrina. Sabrina, you still live. You still live, Lady Chrisette. Lady Chrisette, you so fly, no better than what you wear. Yeah, because when she, she's on a limited wardrobe today, but you just go out and buy something. I bet you went and bought that.
No, I didn't. I'm telling you, I promise you. I said I'm gonna do Facebook or Instagram on how you can live for a whole month or
says my mic is muted
with tops and a pair of leggings.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh my goodness. This is so embarrassing.
I'm gonna mute her back. We can hear her. Just tell her, Gloria. We can still hear her. Just talk. Say something.
Just tell her talk. 3 minutes. Hear us, but we can hear her.
3 minutes after the show. Y'all, we need help. Tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Chris, are you hosting tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm hosting tomorrow. Okay, so we need you guys.
You're talking about.
Okay, so tomorrow we're thinking about the topic is going to be about girlfriend code. Okay, what is some girlfriend codes that you just don't break? Like, if I date somebody, can I date the person that you dated even though you're not dating them no more and you married and got kids? Is it cool or is that girlfriend code?
How come this? No, I can't.
Sabrina keeps unmuting herself. She's unmuting this instead of unmuting the computer.
Right. So anyway, what are your girlfriend codes? I mean, for instance, if you have a relationship, with
Casey Quincy can't even.
This is not just, and they break up. Can you still, be friendly with her ex-husband, or is that relationship totally cut off?
We got to end the show, Chris, because she ain't getting it together. She keep unmuting. But at least Quincy is there to help her. She'll figure it out. When that happens, girls, you just got to go out and come back in. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, as they say, the show must go on. So we're so glad we have you.
They love the topic. Tomorrow is girl code. All right. Tomorrow girl code.
So we want to know what is some of your girl codes that you, and I know for those of us that are older, our code is not the same for those who are, millennials and younger.
Hear you. That's interesting.
Yeah. We got you, Gloria. So right before we leave, can you hear us, Gloria?
Because I'm on the phone.
We don't know if Gloria can hear us. Anyways, we're out. We have to cover our girlfriends because ain't no telling what might come out their mouth when they don't know they're live. Okay. This is what I want y'all to do to me if I start going off. Just press end. Goodbye.
Just press end.
Hold on. Let's see.
She's back.
Hear us, Sabrina?
Are you good, Sabrina?
Still can't hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, they can hear me. Okay.
Can you hear us?
All right. So that's interesting. I can't hear you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is an expensive computer, and I'm gonna call. I got an issue. Okay. And I'm going to call Mr. Apple right now.
We gonna end the show, y'all. Talk to you tomorrow, girls.